To kick off the 40th anniversary of the Transformers, Hasbro is doing a month of streams that they are going to be showing off some official items and product that is going to get some fans excited, but for a lot of us, this particular live stream today was not as exciting as it could have been. However, there are some things that I think that I'm going to highlight today that will get some fans excited, even if a lot of it is basically retools and repaints. So I've got a lot to talk about, so sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. So as I mentioned, the 40th anniversary is doing its kickoff today, with March 7th being the first of 4 live streams that they're going to be doing every single week on Hasbro Pulse's fan stream. And, well, this was kind of lackluster, if you want my honest opinion, because a lot of the stuff that they showed today, they've already shown in press releases before. You know, we already know that 2001 Omega Prime, the HasLab exclusive, has reached its goals. And it doesn't seem that they are going to be doing any additional, like tiers to add on to what's already, shown before. But they did make mention that they have added in the extra cannons to try and bring that a little bit more exclusivity to Blue Bolts for the blaster. And I'm actually happy about that for those people who really want to get this particular HasLab figure. I myself don't have the money for it myself, so maybe down the road I can go for it. But I know for a lot of folks, they're like, yeah, I'm definitely in on this. So I'm at least happy about that. And BMAC, Evan, and Mark, I know that the 3 of them are doing everything that they can to make it exciting for a lot of this Transformers stuff being shown, considering like a lot of the stuff that like Hasbro as a whole is doing, like the corporate end of things, from the increase in prices to some of the stuff they've been doing with D&D. And, a lot of people have a lot of issues with things, but I know the 3 of them are doing their best to try and make sure that the Transformers are as exciting that they can be, because they really do love the property and they really do love the brand. And they like to see awesome Transformers characters brought to the toy shelves. Even if for a lot of us, it's like, okay, another repaint, so I give them a lot of credit for at least doing their best, all things considered. That being said, we've already seen a lot of this stuff. The t-shirts, there's a whole bunch of t-shirts that they showed, and I'm just going to scroll through them very, very quickly because you've seen it already. And then they showed off this MLDX, Vintage Animation Edition Optimus Prime. We've actually seen this already. This was already unveiled. And apparently they're going to be selling them, I think, at TFCon in LA this weekend. I mean, I won't be there. It would be awesome if I could, make my way out to LA. But I'm probably going to try and do my best to make it out to Baltimore, maybe to BotCon and RetroCon this year. I'm going to try and see if I can, make it to those conventions. But I'm not going to be able to make it to TFCon, but seeing Optimus Prime is awesome. Megatron looks great with the, the fusion cannon, and these are redecos to be done into a vintage animation style. And they also have Bumblebee, who has a different faceplate, that you can add on to him. And all 3 of the figures look great if you're not into transforming these particular high posable action figures. But again, we've already seen them, so now we know the pre-order is coming. We have the Figpin XL, and I'm going through this very quickly because I know for a lot of you, you're like, okay, there's a coin, this like whole vintage plate thing that they're doing in silver, and it's not that exciting. I'm not gonna lie, it's not that exciting. So then they're, then they're doing these vintage trading cards. They're going to be doing with some comic book stuff. And they're going to have a whole set of that. I think it's going to be pretty expensive if you ask me. Like this whole, these type of cards would be things that you probably would wanted to collect maybe 10, 20 years ago. But I don't know, man, like, doesn't really excite me as much as to some it would. I know to some people they really do like the collectible trading cards. Then you have the headphones, an Autobot and a Decepticon one. But now we find out that a Target exclusive Studio Series 86 blaster is on the horizon. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about this in a negative light. I have Kingdom Blaster, right? I got the figure when it was released in Kingdom. They re-released it in Legacy because the Kingdom release was hard to get. And this figure was actually shown to us, during one of the roundtable discussions. And then you had Eject, which was in clear plastic. And then of course, Toy Hacks has a set in which you can try to make it a little bit more animation accurate. This deco actually does a little bit of a better job with the gray here on the sides and the gray on the sides of the handle, as well as the, cassette painted door, because the figure does not have clear plastic. It's not clear plastic at all. And this piece of white right here, really bad Photoshop. Same thing with poor Eject. Oh man, they really messed up on Eject there. But they did get to show both figures off side by side so you can see the differences between them both and how the paint looks on both of them. And I gotta say, I do like the deco on him. Like the whole figure that makes this thing worth it, in my opinion. If you missed out on Blaster, getting clear plastic Eject done a little bit better without clear plastic to worry about. Because I'm messing with the figure, and the shoulder joint on mine worries me a little bit. At least as far as trying to turn it, because it's a mushroom peg made out of clear plastic that is attached to solid plastic, and the figure is held together using pins instead of screws. So I can't disassemble the figure easily if I needed to in order to make any repairs if something were to, God forbid, happen. And the deco on this solid plastic is a lot nicer as well. I like the solid plastic look to it, but it is a double dip. And a lot of people have been making the complaint with Hasbro, like, guys, there's so much double dipping going on. You guys are re-releasing a figure in a different deco and expecting us to pay top dollar for it. And a lot of people are getting a little tired of this. And I don't blame them. I really, really don't blame them. The figure looks great. But come on, like it's I would double dip if, like, let's say if someone else wanted this blaster, to get the solid plastic Eject. Personally speaking, I wish the cassettes were released like separately, because the Toy Hacks labels for this kind of already fix that, and it also gives you the blaster weapons for Eject. I know, you guys are probably like, all right, I'm tired of hearing you guys, all you YouTubers talk about Toy Hacks, but honestly, they do make figures look a lot better. I mean, taking a look at my point blank here, but it's all a matter of opinion about whether or not you want to go for something like this. And so a lot of people heard this stream, saw the stream and were like, man, I'm totally disappointed, because the next thing they showed off was the already revealed, which already had official images for these, multi-packs for the Mayhem Attack Squad. And I've already made already said, I want Windsweeper just because I do like the Trigger Cons. And also, they talked about how, like, they took the G.I. Joe names for the two blasters, Target Masters, which are supposed to be his Trigger Con, like, arms. So, like, I mean, the figures themselves do look fine. And so I've heard the complaints made about breakdown. So, but at the same time, I think they look okay. The Deluxe Insecticons, already talked about them before, but the thing that they were using to really make a point of, Mark is kind of creating lore here with the hammer. So the hammer itself is supposed to be Solus Prime's partner, Minotaurus, who transforms into Solus Prime's Forge Hammer. And so he quite literally is the Forge of Solus Prime. That's an interesting bit of lore that they decided to create, which means that when they do a Solus Prime figure next year, will she have a hammer or not? Makes you wonder. I do want the Insecticons. I want Windsweeper. Breakdown comes with Windsweeper, so it's like, all right, I'm going to spend the money on that. I think I'm going to save the money on Blaster, though. However, I want to talk about the Star Raiders line for that are Walmart exclusives. It's basically the Star Seekers, but I think they didn't have the name for Star Seekers as a trademark, so they decided to use the name Star Raider as this mercenary team of pirate Decepticon Transformers that have teamed up together. They were BotCon exclusives, all redecos of previous figures that were released. There was a comic for BotCon 2014 for them. Some characters are actually added to the lore, at least as far as for this, lineup of figures. And some of them I want, some of them I think I'm going to skip. For starters, you have Lockdown, which is a character that when we saw the official images for Legacy Wave 1, back when Legacy first started, we saw Axel Grease we were like looking at her and going, is that Lockdown? Is that Lockdown? They were like, no, it's another character. Well, now they are releasing the figure as Lockdown. And the paint job is missing some details. I wish he had green on his shins there because that means that where his car mode is. And the head sculpt itself feels more like that live action movie version of Lockdown that they released. Or was it a live action? Or no, it was it was the first version of Lockdown they released before Age of Extinction actually brought Lockdown in. And so it's that head sculpt. And I'm kind of iffy about that. I don't really like the head sculpt. I wish it was a little bit more animated myself specifically. But I think he works a little bit. He's one that I'm definitely going to get. Because I want a Lockdown figure that can fit in with the shelf. I just think he's a little small for the character. But I guess he works. So adding him to the lore of the Star Seekers is not necessarily a bad thing. We get to see some of the art for him. This is what the car mode looks like. This is what I was talking about before, is that the green on the shins would have given him the green stripe in car mode. So he's missing a lot of details. Still, it's nice that they are acknowledging Lockdown as a character. So if you want to go for it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to go for him. Filch is a Robots in Disguise 2015 character that they are adding to the lore as well. Looks like she is a retool of, I'm not sure if it's specifically of Kingdom Air Razor or Rise of the Beast Air Razor. You can see a lot of the detailing there is very similar. And I think it's the Kingdom Air Razor. She looks fine. The head sculpt itself is more like the 2015 character than it is let's say Strong Arm, where they actually incorporated a nose for her. Cannonball is actually the captain of the Star Seekers. So he is the leader of the team. Clearly a redeco of, Transformers Cybertron, Red Alert, or First Aid if you're a Galaxy Force fan. And so this is probably a pre-tool. Maybe it might be, they might use this particular robot for Cybertron Red Alert, or it could double as a Transformers Prime Ratchet. I've heard people say that. I know people are going to be like, no, they can't do that. They can't do that. Hey, they'll probably do redecos of these figures until the day is young. I wouldn't put it past them at all. But I think he actually looks awesome. Cannonball definitely looks great. He is actually the character. Now, I did a Shadow Striker retrospective recently. It was his squad that destroyed the Transformers village. That it was his squad that killed Shadow Striker and Roulette's sister. So him being this Cybertronian pirate is kind of cool lore. Now, Ferric is an interesting one. He showed up in issue 17 of the Marvel Comics in vehicle mode. And we never saw a robot mode for him. Well, then, years later, they decided to make the, Last Stand of the Wreckers, and they added Ferrac to the lore. And here he is with the actual Starseekers themselves. There's Cannonball. And so it is a Cyclonus recolor, which is exactly what he was back in the BotCon 2014 set. Well, it turns out that James Roberts and Nick Roche actually decided to make it the same character as Rodimus Prime's very famous line of "request denied." This same Autobot was executed by Rodimus Prime in the UK future. So he faced off against Blaster. He got hit, in issue 17, got blasted with some of the smelting pool acid, changed his appearance up a little bit years later, faced off against Rodimus Prime, and was executed with the request denied. So this unnamed Decepticon ended up being retroactively turned into Ferrac. So, hey, if you want to recreate the scene, you can do that with this particular Decepticon. Cool. And his vehicle mode, is changed up as well. So it's not just a new head sculpt. They also added these wings that are a little bit different. I think they are removable blasters. You can actually put them onto the wings. So, you can actually see here they are removable. So it looks like they retooled the wings a little bit. They retooled his chest a little bit, as well as his face. So this is more based on, I think, the earlier artwork for Floro Derry when he first created the Cyclonus character. So, I think it looks great. And I also think the fact that he has the open mouth lends to the whole request denied. So this is probably one I want to get here. Like, I can skip Cannonball and I can skip Filch, but Lockdown was one I've wanted to add to my collection for quite some time. And to have the Decepticon who's executed by Rodimus Prime, even though he felt remorse about it, because he said, like, I had to take a life. Don't sit there and say, like, that was a good thing, which is something that I want to make mention of. Like, you should have heroes be heroes. But more looking at the artwork, I do think that this whole set looks great. It's Walmart exclusive. So you can either buy it from Walmart.com or you're going to find it on Walmart shelves. I think they're going to do more official reveals for this for the Walmart Collector Con, but the official images are released. So this was a little bit more exciting than poor Blaster. Man, like, Blaster he needs to be in more fiction. He needs to be in more Transformers fiction in general. So with that said, yeah, the live stream itself was a little lackluster, but at least we got some official reveals for characters that I think are going to get some fans excited, but I want to know what you guys think about this. Are you excited about the Studio Series 86 Blaster, or are you excited about the Starseekers finally getting a retail release for the figures? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have many more Transformers news, retrospectives, and more coming down the pipeline, so stay tuned for all that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.